We all know about HelloTalk, right? It's a wonderful idea. An app that connects you as a language learner with somebody who speaks your target language. You speak Russian and want to learn English? Then you can find English speakers that want to learn Russian. You talk to each other, you correct each other, and you help each other grow. And that sounds perfect. You know, as language learners, we are making ourselves vulnerable when we speak the language that we're learning, because a lot of times we're not good. We make mistakes constantly. And so we need to have a safe place to practice the language we're learning. And sometimes the dream of HelloTalk can quickly turn into a nightmare. You know, you log in to study a language and you leave feeling discouraged, unmotivated, frustrated, and sometimes even unsafe. And we're going to discuss the real problems that language learners face every single day. If you've used HelloTalk before, you will definitely recognize some of these struggles. And if you've never used it, then let this video serve you as a crucial warning. Let's get into it. The absolute biggest problem that I hear about HelloTalk is this dating issue. And it's something that most users, especially females, have dealt with a lot. This is the Tinder effect. You know, HelloTalk is not a dating app. The rules are clear. But for a very large percentage of the users, the purpose is something else. A lot of people will create their accounts excited to find a person to speak the language to and quickly realize that they're only going to be flirted with. Luckily, as a man, from my experience, women are not terrible about how they flirt. However, men seem to be. I've talked to many women that say that they'll just receive messages of people saying, you know, "You're beautiful. Can you send me pictures?" And some really weird messages that I will not repeat. The app is just being misused by a lot of people, especially those with premium accounts that can filter through gender, location, and even age, using HelloTalk as their worldwide dating database. This creates a terrible dynamic, and especially for women who have to put up a shield and ignore dozens of messages just to find one real language partner. This causes a lot of wasted time, and it's probably the biggest source of frustration for HelloTalk users. And honestly, I don't even blame HelloTalk. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. They're a business, and a lot of the people that pay them want to date on HelloTalk. So if you completely prohibit this, then a lot of people are not going to pay for it anymore. But let's say you survived the dating messages. You've ignored the people that just want to flirt. Finally, you get someone who's real, and you say, "Hello, how are you doing?" They talk to you for a little while, but then the next day, when you message them again, no response. A few days pass and you message them again, "Hey, how are you doing?" No response. They're gone. Poof, like a ghost. That's why in English we call it ghosting. Why does it happen so often on HelloTalk? Well, I would say there are two main reasons. The first one is that HelloTalk is a low commitment app. Being that it's free for the majority of the users, many people don't take it seriously. It requires real effort to help somebody learn a language. But just saying hello is easy. So whenever the conversation actually gets serious and difficult, people seem to not get interested in it anymore. So they leave, and there's no consequence for leaving. And second, there's one that I'm sure you're not doing because you're a good person, but when people treat it as a one-way street. What I mean by this is a lot of people will take your help and they'll speak your language with you. But whenever it's time for them to teach you their language. Nope, they won't do it. They're only there for themselves. They don't understand that it's a trade, that it's 50-50. And that would be a reason why you would ghost them. Because, of course, the relationship is unequal. You're not getting anything from it. I personally have ghosted so many people because of this. And it sucks, but it is what it is. And hey, I don't want to interrupt this video too much, but I created an app called Lingo Diary that helps us learn languages through things that are actually important to us, like our thoughts, goals, and experiences. It's all about using the journaling method that got me from nothing to C1 in Spanish and from nothing to B2 in French. And I'm sure it'll help you a lot too. Check it out for free in the description and start living in your target language today. Now let's talk about scammers on HelloTalk. Now we're getting into the really dark side of HelloTalk, the dangerous side. This isn't just annoying anymore, this is predatory. HelloTalk is a perfect playground for people who want to steal information and even money from good, honest, trustworthy language learners. I mean, let's be honest, as language learners on HelloTalk, we're looking to build connections, we're looking to build relationships with people that we can trust. And so we inherently are going to be trusting people, as long as we're not getting weird messages. And a lot of people will try and take advantage of that trust. First, I've heard of the romance scam. This often starts with a very attractive person messaging you, and they develop a relationship with you by being extremely nice. But then, eventually, they'll get you onto WhatsApp or Instagram or some other platform than HelloTalk. And they'll have an emergency and ask you for money. Why? Well, HelloTalk has restrictions, and they will flag certain messages and try and help you not get scammed. But obviously, WhatsApp, Instagram do not. So that person will take you there to tell you, oh, I'm in the hospital and I can't pay for a surgery I really need, or whatever the emergency is. They essentially build a fake relationship to steal your money. If somebody's asking you to move to a different app or to talk about investments way too early on, you should probably just block them. And second, there are scams, which are much harder to detect. Someone messages you and eventually they send you a link. Maybe they say this is a great language learning app that you should try. Well, it turns out that link will install malware on your device. It'll take all of your data, or even worse, take all your passwords and banking information. So be careful and don't click on unknown links from people that you haven't really gotten to know well enough. Then finally, there's a systemic issue in HelloTalk, which creates a sort of accidental hierarchy based on nationality. Let's be honest, some languages are more desired than others. For example, English, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, Chinese maybe. So native speakers of those languages will get the most attention on the app, especially if you're a woman. You'll have so many messages, you won't know what to do with all of them. You won't possibly be able to reply to them all. This leads back to that ghosting issue. You might get so many messages, you have to ghost people. But if your language is less popular to learn, like, I don't know, Albanian or Wolof, you might struggle to find people that want to practice your native language. And it sucks because you might be a wonderful person and a super dedicated student, and it's just your nationality or your native language that's causing this issue. And again, we can't blame HelloTalk for this. This is just a fact of life. I mean, if there's not a lot of people who want to learn your native language, then there's nothing HelloTalk can do about that. But it is super unfortunate. So we've talked about the dark side of HelloTalk, the Tinder effect, the ghosting, the scams, and the frustrations of how HelloTalk works. So is it worth it or should you delete the app? I would say it's worth it, in my opinion. HelloTalk is a complicated tool, yes. Searching for a good language partner is extremely difficult and sometimes feels impossible. But I've made friends through HelloTalk that have stayed in my life for years. And for that, I'm forever grateful. And yes, it took thousands of bad friends, bad language partners, to get to having real friends from HelloTalk. But that is the price we have to pay. If you decide to use it, or if you're going to continue using it, do it. But just try and keep your eyes open, because there are some crazy people on HelloTalk. Block anybody who's being weird or scammy. And if somebody ghosts you, don't feel too bad about it. It happens to us all. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that we don't let the dark side of any app ruin our motivation to keep learning a new language. Thanks so much for coming back again. And tell me in the comments, what is your experience with HelloTalk? I would love to discuss it with you. Keep learning and keep trying, and I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Goodbye.